Welcome to Jan's IT Network, and this is a step-by-step guide tutorial on how we can create multiple VLANs. Okay, so these are the VLANs that we need to create. Okay, so for VLAN 10 for the teachers, VLAN 20 for students, VLAN 50 for voice, VLAN 99 for management, and VLAN 150 for native. Okay, so let's do that. Let's get switch in here. I'm gonna get here a two switch, okay, and then let's grab two computers. I'll put it here, second one here, and I'll also put one here. Okay, let's use four. Okay, so for this PC, then, all right, we'll use the IP address 192.168.10.10, and for this PC, we'll use 192.168.20.20. Okay, and here let's use 192.168.10.11, okay? And last 192.168.20.21. Okay, so this PC, we'll put this on the VLAN 10, okay? VLAN 10, and this would be on the VLAN 20. I'm sorry, wrong spelling. VLAN 20, okay? Let me fix this. All right, and also this PC will put this on VLAN 10, and this is on VLAN 20. Okay, so you notice that I put this VLAN 10 on the same network, so dot 10 and dot 10 in here, then the host is 10 in here, and here is 11. Okay, so in here 20 network, they're the same, and this is the host, okay, 20 and then 21. All right, and let's connect them using straight through cable. Well, this is just easy. All right, we'll plug this on the 10. All right, so 10 and then 10 host and then 10 port to make it easy. And then here, since it's on a 20 host, we'll put it on the port 20, right? And here, it's on the 11 host. Let's put it on the 11 port. And here, same thing, 21 host. Let's put it on the 21, okay? And next is switch to switch. Well, in here, straight through cable, let's just use the first port, the 0/1, the 0/1, okay? All right, and now let's create a VLAN, right? So 10, 20, 50, 99, 150. Let's go. Let's open the switch. Command line interface. Hit enter to get started. Enable to go to the privilege mode, and then COM T. Oh, by the way, before we go to the global config mode, let me type here show VLAN brief. Okay. And as you see in here is there is only one default VLAN, which is the VLAN 1. Okay. Well, these are default though, 'cause we're not gonna focus on this other default VLAN, right? So let's create VLAN then. Okay, so I'll type here COM-T to go to the global config mode, and then I'll create VLAN 10. Okay, enter, and I'll name this as this is for the teachers. Okay, exit, and then I'll create another VLAN 20. I'll give it a name. This is for the students. Right, exit. I'll create another VLAN. VLAN, I think that's 50, right? So 50 for voice, exactly. Okay, and I'll give it a name, voice, and exit. I'll type again VLAN um, 99. Okay, I'll give it a name, management. Okay, and then last, I'll type exit. I'll create another last VLAN, okay, VLAN 150. Right, and this is for the native. All right. Okay. Then Control C. I'll save the configuration, and I'll type here show um, VLAN space brief. Okay. All right. So as you see in here, so we create this VLAN 10 for teachers, 20 for students, 50 for voice and 99 for management, and 150 for the native. Okay, so second is well, we need to assign the ports. All right, so this 0/10, we need to assign this on the VLAN 10. Okay, since it's connected to this PC. All right, and this 0/20 port, since it's connected to this PC. All right, we need to register it to the VLAN 20. So let's do that. Okay, so CompT, go to the global config mode, then interface F0/10. Okay, and then the switch ports mode access, and then switch port access VLAN 10. Okay, exit, and then next port interface F0/20, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 20. All right, and then exit, Control C, and then let me save the configuration by typing right, and then I'll type again show VLAN space brief. Okay, all right. So just you see now that the uh, the port 0/10, all right, is registered to the VLAN 10 for teachers, and this 0/20 is registered to the student. Okay, and I'll close this, and then we'll do the same thing on this switch. All right, we'll create VLANs. Well, it's the same thing. Okay, so I'll type here enable, and then CompT to go to the global config mode, and then I'll create a VLAN 10, and then I'll give it a name, um, teachers. Okay, and then exit. I'll create another VLAN 20, name, sorry, students. Okay, and then exit, and then this will be for the VLAN 50. Okay, and name voice. All right, and I'm actually using just the up arrow key just to use the previous command, and I'm just editing it. All right, just changing it. So this VLAN 50, so this would be the VLAN 99, and this is name management. Okay, and that's it, and VLAN 150. So this is for the name native. Okay, all right, there you go. So Control C, and then save the configuration, and then show VLAN brief. Okay, just to double check. All right, so as you see in here that we already created teachers. All right, students voice management. All right, but this time is we'll assign this F0/11 to VLAN 10, and this F0/21 to VLAN 20. Okay, let's do that. So CompT again to go to the global config mode, interface F0/11, and then switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 10. Okay, and then next port, I think it's the 21. All right, and then switch port mode access, switch port access, this would be the VLAN 20. Okay, then Control C, and then I'll save the configuration, and then I'll type again show VLAN brief just to see the available VLAN and if the port was registered correctly. All right, so 0/11 on the teachers, and 0/21 then for the students. Okay, all right, and I'm gonna close this now, and now let's try to ping, okay, from this PC to this PC. Oh, by the way, but before that though, okay, we haven't registered yet the IP address for the PC, so let's do it then. So for this PC, I'll register this 192.168.10.10. All right, and there you go. And in here, it's 192.168.10.10. 10.11. Okay, and then subnet mask case, it's a class C. And same thing in here. Oh, this is just easy though. We're just registering the IP address 168.20.20. Okay, and class C subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. Okay, they're all the same subnet mask because they're class C. And here, desktop IP configuration 192.168.20.21. Okay, the same thing. All right. Well, if we'll try to, let's say, ping, all right, from, well, let me grab this here so that you'll see the IP address. Okay. All right. Let me move it here. Okay. So if we'll try to ping from this PC to this PC, all right, then we won't be able to make it. All right. I'll show you then. All right. So command prompt and then ping 192.168.10.11. And as you see in here is the ping won't allow. All right. It's a request timeout. Well, they are on the same network, right? And they are on the same VLAN. So how come it's not going through, right? Same network and same VLAN, all right? All right. Well, the problem is it's because since we create a multiple VLANs, right? The VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. So we're not dealing with the default VLAN, right? Which is the VLAN 1. So uh, the reason is this port, all right, is still on the access port. All right, since it's a switch to switch, we need to convert this port into a trunk port, which is the protocol that is we need to use here is the 802.1q. All right. Well, the 802.1q protocol, okay, this allows a VLAN tagging, all right, on this line. So meaning it will allow VLAN traffic, all right, to go to this direction. So it is just like we're creating a bridge, all right, so for them to communicate to each other. Let's say if for this PC, if this PC wants to communicate to this next computer, it will go in this direction, all right? Then the 802.1q protocol will put a VLAN tagging, okay? And it will understand that this PC wants to reach this PC on the VLAN 10, all right? And if we will not make this as a trunk port, then definitely is the it will not allow, okay, the VLAN traffic will not be permitted on this line. So let's do that then, okay? So we need to make this fast Ethernet 0/1 as a trunk port and also this port. Okay, so let's go to this PC, um, comp T to go to global config mode, and then interface F0/1. Okay, and then this is the command, switch port space mode. This time I'll type here trunk. Okay, there we go. And control C, let me save the configuration. And it's the same thing in here, 0/1. Right, comp T, and then interface F0/1, and then switch port space mode. It should be trunk. Okay, and now as you see now it's up. Control C, let me save the configuration. All right, and now let me fast forward the time so that you know to connect this to port. All right, and now let's try to ping. Let's open this PC, then select command prompt, and I'll type here ping 192.168.10.11, and you see here that we are receiving a reply. So using the 802.1q protocol it is allowing the VLAN traffic and VLAN tagging on this trunk line. So now the teachers can have a communication to each other and also the students. Okay. Well, however, since we create a trunk port, okay, or the trunking protocol, we also need to consider in activating the native VLAN. All right. Well, native VLAN is important. Let's say, for example, on this network design. So let's pretend that this switch is a non-Cisco, and this computer is connected to this non-Cisco switch, and this PC wants to communicate then to this next PC. All right. So what will happen is The data will go to this non-Cisco switch, okay, and then after that, it will go to this bridge, and then it doesn't really understand about the 802.1q protocol because it is a non-Cisco switch, and it will not get any VLAN tagging or VLAN tag. Instead, is it will go straight to our default VLAN, which is VLAN number one. And we do know that there are a lot of interfaces that are connected to the VLAN one, right? And we don't really want to get mess things up. But in Cisco curriculum, it is recommended to create a native VLAN so that instead of the traffic will go to the default VLAN, and it will just gonna go through to the native VLAN instead. Okay, and then after that, it will go straight to this PC that it wants to communicate with. And native VLAN is so important for backwards compatibility. All right, so for non-Cisco to a Cisco switch. Okay, so I'm gonna open up this switch. All right, and I'll hit enter to get started. I'll type here enable to go to the privilege mode, and let's view the trunk port on this switch. Okay, to do that, I'll just type here show, and then interfaces, then space trunk. All right, there you go. And now what I can see here is the fast Ethernet 0/1. So this is the trunk that we create, right? And as you see here, it's on, and it's running the protocol 802.1q, and it's a trunk, all right? And as you see here, that the native VLAN is on the VLAN 1. So we need to change this to 150, all right? So we'll do that. Go here, I'll type here CompT, right? And then I'll go to the interface F0/1, okay? So switch port space mode trunk. All right, well, we already did this command, but let's do it again. All right, and next one is we need to type this command switch port space trunk space native. All right, and then space VLAN, and then the VLAN ID, which is the 150. Okay, I'll hit that, and then I'll type here control C, and then I'll save the configuration. Okay, and let me do the show interfaces trunk. Okay, and as you've seen here that the native VLAN is already on the 150. Okay, and it's good. And we also need to do the same thing on the next switch. Right, I'll open up this switch. All right, as you can see in here, we got this message native VLAN mismatch. Well, it is because if we configure this, the native VLAN on this trunk port, we also need to configure the native VLAN on this trunk port as well. All right, let's do that. I'll hit enter in here to get started. Type enable, and then CompT to go to the global config mode, and then I'll type here interface F0/1, and I'll do the same. Switch port mode trunk. All right. Well, we already made this as a trunk, but just to make sure, we can do again this command switch port mode trunk, and then next one is switch port trunk space native space VLAN space 150. Okay, and there you go. You see the message unblocking fast Ethernet 0/1 on VLAN 0001. All right, and port consistency restored. All right, well, that's good. Well, supposedly this should not be the 0001. It should be then the VLAN 150. All right, but anyway, though, um, maybe there's some miscalculation in here, right? But let's proceed then. Type enter in here, okay, and control C. Well, let's double check. All right, I'll do the command here, show interfaces, right, and then space trunk. There we go. And All right. So as you seen here that it is on the 150, the native VLAN. All right. So we did the correct command. All right. And I'll close this. Okay. Let's go back to this first switch, and then I'll hit enter in this, and let's type here show run. Well, just for you to see the command. So let's check the F0/1. Okay, so this is the interface fast Ethernet 0/1. So as you see, we made this as a trunk, and we activate the native VLAN, all right, on this trunk, which is the 150. Okay, and on this switch, let's also check it out, and then I'll type here show space run. Okay, all right, and as you've seen here, um, we made it as a trunk and switch port trunk native VLAN 150, and it's all good. So now we are finished in configuring the VLAN 10 for teachers, VLAN 20 for students, and VLAN 150 for the native. Okay, and it's time for us now to configure the VLAN 99 for management. Well, management of VLAN is very important for a network administrator. Okay, let's say for example, if a network admin needs to configure a multiple switches, right, and what he needs to do is he just needs to connect to them using SSH and Telnet remotely. All right, instead of using a console cable um, on each switch. All right, it will make the job easier for a network admin to do so. All right, so let's do that then. So let's put one computer here. Okay, and we'll use IP address for this computer 192.168. Let's put it on the 99 network, and then 24 hosts. Okay, and this will be for the VLAN 99, and this is for the management. Okay, MGT. Okay, and let's connect using straight through cable, fast Ethernet. It's on the 24 hosts. Let me just connect this to the last one, which is 0/24. Okay, and then let's go to this PC. Let's register the IP address quickly. All right, 192.168.99.24. All right, and then subnet mask 255.255.255.0 since it's a class C. Okay, and let's register this port, the 0/24 to VLAN 99. Okay, let's do that. I'll go to the switch command line interface, hit enter to get started, enable to go to the privilege mode, and then comp T to go to the global config mode, and let's go to the interface F0/24. Okay, and then switch port mode access, and then switch port access the VLAN 99. Okay, right, and control C. Let me save the configuration, and I'll type here show space VLAN brief just for us to see if it was registered successfully. All right, so the FA0/24 is registered now to the VLAN 99, and that is good. Okay, and next thing that we need to do, um, we need to assign an IP address to this switch and also to the switch. Okay, and we need to assign the IP address to the VLAN 99. So we need to create a interface using the VLAN 99 so that we can ping the switch. Okay, and we can activate the SSH and telnet. Okay, so let's go first to the switch, and I need to assign an IP address. So I'll type here compt to go to the global config mode, and then I'll type here interface space VLAN 99. Okay, to make it an interface so that I can assign IP address. Okay, and now it's up, enter, and then IP address. It's 192.168.99.0 So let's follow the host from this. So since this is 24, let's make this as 25. Okay, and then let me spread this. Oh, sorry. And then space 255.255.255.0. Okay, and then I'll type here no shutdown. All right, then Control C, and then let me save the configuration. And let's go to the next switch. Let's do the same thing. Hit enter to get started, enable, and then Comm T to go to global config mode. So interface VLAN 99. Okay, it's up, and IP address. So I'll use the 192.168.99. This will be 26. Okay, all right. So that's they should be on the same network. All right, so that they can um, ping each other. 255.255.255.0, and then type here no shutdown. Okay, Control C, and let me save the configuration. I'll close this, and from this PC then let's try to ping. Okay, before we enable the SSH or telnet, we need to make sure that we have a connection to the switch or switches. Okay, let's do that. So ping 192.168.99, sorry, 9 99.25. Okay, and I should be able to ping. There you go, it's pinging. All right, and let's check the next switch, which is the dot 26. All right, okay, request timeout, and it's good. Okay, there you go. I'll close this, and now let's enable the SSH then. Let's go first onto the switch. Okay, and then I'll type here comp T. All right, to go to the global config mode. All right, so first is that we need to change the host name, okay, of the switch. Well, let's just change this to, let's say, SW1. All right, so type here host name SW1. All right, so you notice that switch was changed to SW1. And then second is that we need to create a enable password. So enable password, okay, and the password would be password 1234. Okay, and then we also need to create a local username and local password. So to do that, username would say admin. Okay, and then password is password 12345. Let's just add 5. Okay, and then next is we need to create a, domain name. All right, to do that, so IP space domain. All right, and then there should be a name in here. All right, there you go. So I just type here the question mark to see what's the next. So IP domain name, let's say cisco.com. All right. Okay, good. And next is we need to assign or create a crypto key. To do that, let me spread this because this is a long command. All right, so crypto, um, say IP, of course. Should I say type IP? Well, this is crypto, I think so. Crypto. All right, there we go. So crypto, okay, under the global config mode, and then crypto key space. All right, and then let's type question mark, and I need to select the generate, then tab, question mark again, then RSA, question mark, and then general tab, all right, general keys, and then question mark, modulus, all right, and then choose 1024. Okay, there you go. And now the SSH is enabled, all right, there you go. So next that we need to do here after this is we need to go to the line. Okay, VTY space 0 up to 15. Okay, and then we need to type here login local. All right, and then transport transport output SSH. Okay, there you go. And then Control C. Let me save the configuration. All right, and I can type here show run. Okay, well, just to double check the command that we input, let's review from the top. All right, so we change the host name to SW1, and we create a enable password, which is password 1234. We create also a domain name, which is cisco.com. All right, this is important for SSH. Okay, and also user local username, which is admin. All right, and the password is password 12345. Okay, well, we did not add the privilege in here, but the computer automatically include that there is a privilege, but we should be good to go. Okay, as long as we input the correct command. All right, and what else? So this is the trunk mode on this fast Ethernet 0/1 and native. Okay, let's scroll down. Okay, so this is the fast Ethernet 0/10, and it's mode access and registered to VLAN 10. Okay, same as here, VLAN 20, and here /24. So in VLAN 99, and it's access. Okay, it's good. And interface VLAN 99. So we assign an IP address so that we can, because we need to enable SSH, we need to um, make a connection from the PC to the switch, okay, so that we can ping. So this is 99.25. Okay, it's good. And last is we set this line VTY 0/4. All right. Well, I do have a tutorial on how you can configure SSH and Telnet. All right. Well, if you want to see the detail though, well, I'll put the description or the link on the description below. Okay, so that's you'll be able to see. All right. And then, all right. So log line VTY 0 up to 4, and then 5 up to 15, since we put 0 to up to 15. Okay, so log in local, so definitely it will ask for local username and the password. Okay, and we activate then the SSH. All right, and let's exit here, and I'll close this. Let's try then. All right, I'll go to this PC and command prompt. Okay, so under here I can type here SSH. Okay, and then space dash L for login. Okay, and then the local username that we create is admin, right? And then next is we need to put the IP address on this switch, okay, which is 192.168.99.25. Okay, and boom, there you go. So this is for the local password that we create. Okay, I believe that we create the password 12345. Right, there you go. And then since I am on the user exec mode, I just need to type here enable. All right, so we also create a enable password, right? And the enable password is a password 1234. There you go. So I am now already inside the switch, and I can even type here compt if I want to. All right, and there you go. And definitely though, we will do the same thing on this switch. Okay, same configuration. All right. So now that we configure all of the VLANs, well, except for the VLAN 50, which is the voice, our target now is to have all of the computers to communicate to each other. Okay, because as of now, this computer on the VLAN 10 can only communicate to the VLAN 10. All right. Well, it cannot communicate to the VLAN 20 because they are on a separate VLAN. Okay, and that is the rule on the switch. If they are on a separate VLAN, then they would not be able to communicate to each other. All right, and if we want them to communicate to each other, we need the presence of a router. Okay, so let's get one router. So we'll use the 2811 in here. Okay, I'll put it here, and let's connect it straight through cable. I'll plug it on the 0/1 here, and then let me plug it on the 0/5. Okay, all right. And then now we need to collect the default gateways that we'll be using. Okay, on this VLAN 10, it needs to have a gateway. Okay, and also to the VLAN 20, it needs to have a default gateway, and also on this management VLAN, it needs to have a gateway. All right, but we cannot assign a three gateway on this port. All right, because we can only assign one gateway in here. So if we want to assign a multiple IP address or gateway on this port, we need to create a, sub interfaces. Okay, so let's list down the gateways that we'll be using. All right, so let's go to the VLAN 10. It should be 192.168.10.1. Okay, should be the first host on a network. And then on the VLAN 20, it's 192.168.20.1. All right, and then on the management VLAN, it's 192.168.99.1. Okay, so these are the three IP address or default gateways that we need to register to the router. Okay, and let's do that. I'll open this router and then command line interface. I'll say no here and then hit enter to get started. Type enable to go to the privilege mode, and then COM-T to go to the global config mode, and then let's go to the interface 0/1. Okay, interface F0/1. Okay, and to create a, sub interface, just need to type this interface again F0/1, and then I need to put dot. Okay, since we're dealing with the VLAN 10 in here, I'll just put here dot 10. Okay, well, you can put any numbers you want though, but we put 10 in here just to indicate that we are working on the VLAN 10. All right, I'll hit enter, and as you see the config dash interface, it was changed to config dash sub interface. Okay, so second thing that we need to enable is the encapsulation. Right, so I'll type here encapsulation and then a space dot 1q. Okay, and then a space. I need to have the VLAN ID. So the VLAN ID on the VLAN 10 is definitely number 10. Okay, so meaning of this command, the encapsulation.1q is it will allow VLAN traffic. Okay, so it is just like we're making this port, all right, as a trunk. Okay, and we are actually doing this on the sub interface. If you will not enable the encapsulation, then it will not understand the VLAN traffic. Okay, so it is important. I'll hit enter on this, and it's time for me now to register the default gateway. So I'll type here IP address 192.168. It should be .10.1, and then I need to assign the subnet mask space 255.255.255.0. Okay, and that's it. So let's move on the next sub interface. I'll just type here. Um, I'll type again. I'll go back to this command. All right, which is the F0/1.10. I'll just change this to 1.20. Okay, or to make it easy, let's go. Let's exit first on the sub interface, just for you to understand it, better. Okay, and let's go back again to the interface 0/1. Okay, all right, and we'll do the same thing. I'll just use the up arrow key, okay, because we're just using the same command. We just need to edit the number. Okay, let's say for example here, I just need to change it to 20. Okay, because we'll be working then on the second gateway, which is the 20.1. Okay, hit enter. I'll do again the encapsulation. All right, I'll change this to 20 because of VLAN 20, right? And then next IP address. Well, I'm just gonna change this to well, let me spread this. Okay, I wish you can see it. Okay, and then I mean, there we go. All right, so I'll change this to 20. Okay, enter, and then I'll type here exit, and I'll do it again. Slash one. I'll create a sub interface. I'll change this to 99. Okay, and then encapsulation. I'll change this to 99 for VLAN 99, and then IP address for the default gateway. I'll change this to 99. I'm sorry, 99.1. Hit enter. Okay, then exit. Right, and then Control C, and let me save the configuration. Let me type here show run. Let's review the command that we execute just to double check. All right, so as you've seen here, this is the interface fast Ethernet 0/1, right? So we did not register any IP address in here. Okay, it says here no IP address. What we did is we create a sub interface. All right, so we are actually inside this interface, and the sub interface are the 0/1.10. Okay, this is the encapsulation, and this is the gateway that we registered to the sub interface. And same thing in here, 1.20. So encapsulation, and then 20.1. It's good. And interface here, fast Ethernet 0/1.99. So VLAN 99 encapsulation, and then the default gateway. Okay, and it's all good. Let's close this. So it is just like we activate a three IP address sub interface. Okay, and we register them all on this interface. Okay, so that it can handle this three. Okay, and next thing that we need to do, we need to make this fast ethernet 0/5 as a trunk. Okay, so that it will allow VLAN traffic. Okay, since we create multiple VLAN though, so we need to make this as a trunk. Let's do that. I'll go to this switch, and then command line interface, hit enter to get started, and then enable. All right, so I set up a password in here is one two. I'm sorry, it's password 12345. I think, or I think without the five, it's four. Okay, yes, it's good. And then next, Comp T to go to the global config mode, and then interface F0/5, and then I'll make this as a trunk. Switch port space mode space trunk. Okay, and there you go. Control C, and then let me save the configuration. All right. So you notice that this is still red, right? Because we did not turn it on. So let's turn it on. Space, enable. Sorry, I'm already on the privilege mode. So COM-T. All right, and then I need to go to the interface fast Ethernet 0/1, and then let's turn this on. Okay, so I'll type here no shutdown. There you go. And Control C. Let me save the configuration again, and I'll close this. Okay, and let's try to fast forward the time. Okay, so now let's try to ping. Okay, let's try to ping from this PC to this PC. So VLAN 10 to VLAN 20. Let's do that. Desktop, command prompt, and type this ping 192.168.20.21. Okay, and it should be working. Request timeout. Request timeout again. Let's see. All right, well, let's do some troubleshooting in here. Let's review this one. Go to desktop IP configuration. All right, well, last thing that we need to do is, well, we did not set a default gateway on each of this computer, right? So let's do it fast. All right, IP configuration. So let's set up the gateway 192.168.10.1. Okay, and here desktop IP configuration. So 192.168.20.1. Okay, they should have a gateway. Okay, because there's a router, and then here desktop IP configuration 192.168.99.1. Okay, here next, this is on the VLAN 10, so it should get the gateway 192.168.10.1. Okay, and last IP configuration and default gateway 192.168.20.1. Okay, and let's try to ping again. It should work. There you go. All right, you see now it's working. Well, we got here one request timeout because of the MAC address registration, but it should be good to go. And then last ping, let's try this management VLAN, and let's ping this 10.11 last. Ping 192.168.10.11. Okay, request timeout for MAC address registration, and there you go. So now let's configure the voice VLAN, which is on the VLAN 50. Okay, let's start. Let's get an IP phones. I'll get two. Okay, let me get this IP phone. All right, I'll change this. This is the first one. Okay, and another one. Okay, so let me just put them here. Okay, and straight through cable. Plug this to the switch, and then let's just use the 0/2. Another one, the switch, and then let's plug it on the 0/3. Okay, so let's register the 0/2 and 0/3 on the VLAN 50. Okay, so I'll go to the switch, hit enter to get started, enable, and then password here, password 1234. Okay, and then CompT, right, and then type here interface. We'll type here range. Okay, and then F0/2. Okay, up to 3. Okay, and then, well, I'll type here switch port mode access. Okay, and then switch port, but this time, since it's a voice, we'll type here voice. Okay, so switch port voice, and then what is the VLAN? It should be the VLAN 50. Okay, and I'll control C, and then let me save the configuration, and then show VLAN brief. Okay, that to see if it was registered successfully. All right, so 0/2 and 0/3, it is now registered to the VLAN 50 for the voice. Okay, that's good. And I'll close this. Right, so we don't need to configure this as a trunk because we, on my previous video, we already made this as a trunk already. Okay, so let's go to the router. Then we need to add another gateway 192.168.50.1. Okay, so I'll create another sub interface, and we need to add this 50.1 on this port. And second is we need to create a DHCP server to this router so that this IP phone can get a automatic registration of IP addresses. Okay, let's do that. So I'll click this router and let me spread this. Hit enter to get started. Enable, and then CompT to go to the global config mode, and then let's go to the hold on, interface fast Ethernet 0/1. Okay, and I need to create a sub interface, so interface F0/1. Let's make it .50. Okay, there we go, and then encapsulation. I can hit the tab on the keyboard to complete the word .1Q, and then this should be on the uh, VLAN 50. Okay, I'll give it an IP address, the default gateway, 192.168.50.1 space 255.255.255.0. Okay, you see? Hit enter. Okay, and then Control C to go back to the privilege mode, and then let's go back again to the CompT. All right, to go to the global config mode, and then let's create a DHCP. To do that, I just have to type this IP DHCP, I think. Okay, and then pool, and then the pool name would be, let's say, voice or VoIP. Okay, all right, and then I'll type here question mark. So we'll use this command, the default dash router. Okay, so default dash router. Okay, so that's this IP phone can get a default gateway. Okay, and I want all of the IP phones to get this default gateway, which is 192.168.50.1. All right, and then next, um, the network. Okay, so we need to identify the network. We are on the 192.168.50.0. I'm sorry, dot zero. Okay, this is the network, and then 255.255.255.0, and then last, the option. Okay, and then let's type question mark in here to see. So, well, we can use two codes in here, either 43 or 150. So let's use the 150. Okay, and then I'll type here space, then question mark. So let's use this command because it's the only command that is available, IP. Okay, and then space question mark. So I need to input the gateway. Okay, so 192.168.50.1, the IP address of the router. Okay, and then let's try. Let's hit space again and question mark. So it looks like the command is complete. I'll hit enter, and there you go. So I'll type here Control C to go to the privilege mode, and now let's set up the telephony service. Okay, on this router then. So to do that, I'll type here COMT to go back again to the global config mode, and then I'll type here question mark space bar. Okay, and let's locate the telephony service. There you go. Let's use this command. So telephony, right? Or we can use the tab on the keyboard to complete the wording, and then I'll hit enter, and then I can type question mark in here since it's the first time. So the command that we need to use in here is the auto. First one is the auto. Okay, so I'll type here auto space and then question mark. All right, so I'll type here assign. Okay, so we'll be using this assign then. Okay, and then space bar question mark. So start DN tag. All right, so since we have two IP phones, so let's just put here 1 to 2. Okay, because if we'll type here question mark, it says in here you need to type the 2. All right, and then question mark again. So stop DN tag. So up to 10. So 1 to 10. Okay, and the complete command is auto assign 1 to 10. That's it. All right, and then next, um, let's use this IP. Okay, so define IP address and port um, telephony services fallback. All right, this is important. So IP, okay, and then space question mark. So we need to, let me spread this for you to see. Okay, all right, so we'll be using this then source address. Okay, so source, just hit the tab on the keyboard, and then question mark again. So I need to input the IP address and the default gateway for the router 192.168.50.1, and then space question mark. So what's the port? Type your port. Okay, and then should be 2000. All right, and that's it. And then next, so we're done with the IP. So let's go to the max DN. Okay, so maximum directory number supported. Okay, let's do that. So max dash DN. Okay, and then I'll type your question mark. So what is the maximum directory number supported? Let's say 10. Okay, make it 10. And then next one, max dash e phones. I'll type your question mark. Maximum phones to support. I would say 10 again. Okay, and that's it. We're all done in the telephony service. I'll hit Control C in the keyboard. Okay, and let me save first the configuration. All right, and we have one last thing to do. Let's go back to the global config mode by typing COMT. Okay, so I am back on the global config mode, and then I'll type question mark again in here. So, and we need to locate the let's see here. So we need to use this command, ephone-dn. So configure phone lines directory numbers. That is good. Okay. So ephone-dn. Okay. So ephone dash dn. Okay, and then space. So this is the first ephone. Okay, I'll put one. All right. As you see, it's now changed state to up, and then I'll type question mark it here. Then I'll give it a telephone number. Okay, let's say number 10001. Okay, that's the number. And then I'll type here exit, and then let's see to the second phone. I'll change this to 2. All right, and then now it's up, and then I'll give it a telephone number. Okay, I'll say 10002. There you go. So Control C. Okay, and let's save the configuration, and let's type here show run to see the configuration that we've made. All right, so from the top, let's review. Okay, so this is the show run, and then this is the DHCP, right? So pool VoIP, and this is the network. So 192.168.50.0, it's correct. And default router, they should be getting this IP address, the router. Okay, and this is option 150, and this is the router IP address. It's all good. All right, and we add this sub interface for the default gateway, which, all right, this is the one dot 50. I'm sorry. Okay, so dot one Q50. All right, encapsulation, and then this is the default gateway for the voice 50.1. All right, it's all good. And then this is the telephony service. So Mac ePhones, 10, Mac's directory number 10, and then IP source address. It should be the default gateway, the router, and then port 2000, and then auto assign 1 to 10. Okay, and this is the first ePhone. We gave it a telephone number 10001, and second one 10002. All right, so we should be good to go. And then let's turn on the phone. To turn on this phone, I'll click this. All right, and then I need to hold click this power adapter, drag it. Okay, hold and drag it over here to turn it on. Okay, and then second one for this phone, let me hold this and then drag it over here. All right, and it's trying to register. Well, it will take some time to register. Okay, but if it's good, we should be getting a message here that they're on. All right, but let's wait for it. Let me try to fast forward the time. Okay, and there you go. So you see in here, this is the message. So ePhone 1, IP address 192.168.50.2. So socket phone is registered. All right, for this is for the ePhone 1, and this is for the ePhone 2. So let's try. Okay, so I'll open this phone, and let's go to the graphical user interface, the GUI. Okay, and then let me make this smaller. So you'll see here, and then I'll open the second phone. So go to the GUI, the graphical user interface. Let me make it small so that you'll see, okay? Because we're about to make calls. Make calls. All right. So as you've seen here, this is the 10001. Well, it's smaller in your part, but this is the directory number, right? And this is the 1002. So using this phone, I'll dial the 10002, and I will call this phone. All right, you see that it's ringing, right? Okay, and if I will answer it, I'll just need to click this, and there you go. As you see, it's connected. Okay, there you go. If you like this video, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Dance IT Network to get more updates about Cisco CCNA. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or requesting for a video tutorial, then you can email me on danceitnetwork@gmail.com, or you can put it on the comment section below. Thanks. Bye.